Welcome. Greetings, everyone, and thank you for coming out to the year-end celebration. This is Live Improv. This event is brought to you by Strong Women, Strange Worlds, which is a group of authors supporting authors. Our mission is to elevate the voices of women and non-binary authors of science fiction, fantasy, and horror through events like our bi-monthly virtual quick read sessions. You can find out more about Strong Women, Strange Worlds by visiting our website. A link will be thrown into the chat, and that is strongwomenstrangeworlds.weebly.com. I'm your host today, Kate, and you can find out more about me and all the authors participating in the handout that we've prepared, which was sent to you via email a couple of days ago, and which can be downloaded from our website. We'll send you another link to the handout after the party as well. Please note that recording of this session by the audience is not allowed, and recording of electronic communications, including Zoom meetings and webinars, without permission is illegal. Today, you will be hearing from 5 authors who are going to come up with a story entirely off the cuff. Here's how today's event will work. This is a thing where the story doesn't exist, and we are going to make it up as we go along. We've got Patricia Miller, Sylvia Woodham, Kelly Aten, Elisa Bonin, and Barbara Krasnoff here to help us out to create a story entirely from scratch. Each author is going to get one plot twist card. So if they are totally struggling, they can't figure out what they are doing, then they can yell, plot twist! And I'm going to ask you guys in the audience to give me a number 1 to 20. I have a bunch of plot twists here that will jump in, and that will replace their turn. If they're struggling a little, but they're not ready to cash in that plot twist card, you guys can help them out as well. They can have the chat up, so you can put your little suggestions in there. As always, and I really don't think I have to say this, but I will anyway, make sure that we're keeping it clean, make sure we're keeping it appropriate. We're not going to pick stuff that's not gonna make everybody happy, so just keep that in mind. If they do utilize that plot twist, it does skip their turn though. So if you see them struggling, hop in the chat, give a suggestion, give them a little hint, give them where you think that story should go. Sound like a plan? Well, before we get started, let's meet our authors. Our first author today is going to be Sylvia Woodham. Sylvia lives in Germany with her dog and works in international business when not writing. She has short stories published so far. Our next author is Kelly Aten. Award-winning author and Michigan native, Kelly Aten brings heroines to life in a variety of blended LGBTQ fiction genres. She specializes in romantic speculative fiction, focusing on extraordinary women who are as flawed as they are compelling. Kelly will publish her 15th novel later this year with Flashpoint Publications. Next, we have Elisa Bonin. Sorry, girl, I'm definitely mispronouncing your last name, and I apologize. She was born and raised in the Philippines, after which she moved to the United States to study chemistry and oceanography. Publishing a book has been her childhood dream, and she is thrilled to share her stories. She is the author of Dauntless and The Stolen City. And our last author, maybe, is Barbara Krasnoff. Barbara Krasnoff's stories have appeared in a variety of publications. Sabbath Wine, which was published in Clockwork Phoenix 5, was a finalist for the 2016 Nebula Awards. Her novel, The History of Soul 2065, from Mythic Delirium Books, appeared in June 2019. Currently, she reviews editor at The Verge. I missed Patricia Miller. I'm sorry, Patricia. You were right there, too. Patricia Miller is a U.S. Navy veteran, 6th of 10 kids, born and raised in Cincinnati, Ohio, and currently living in Wisconsin, the land of cheese. I think I made that joke already. She holds a BS in education and an MS in library science. Patricia started reading at 3.5 after becoming obsessed with Batman and is hooked on QI, British murder villages, and professional cycling. She is a weaver, quilter, and raiser. And then I do also want to give an extra special shout out to Karen Hoff. Karen is going to be helping us out. She is not going to be writing the story, but she is not going to be telling the story, but she is going to be writing the story. And I apologize, Karen. I don't think I have your bio, but Karen is super awesome. And she's going to be the person typing everything up. So that way, our poor authors don't have to remember everything that's being said. They can just look over at her chat. So we are going to give Karen just a second to pull up her screen. And I am going to introduce you to my lovely No Longer a Candle. Inside my No Longer a Candle, I have just a whole bunch of first sentences. So I'm going to pull one up. We are going to get started. And we are going to start. Our round one is going to be Sylvia first, then Patricia, then Kelly, then Elisa, and then Barbara. After all of them, I'm going to come to you guys, the audience, and I'm going to ask you where you think that next little bit is going to go. Everyone's going to just, yes, we see it. Everyone is going to just give us one little thought, one little idea. You're not telling us the whole story. All right, are we ready to go? Because I certainly am. We're going to start with... On a night like this, the sky should be full of stars. But as she looked up, her legs almost gave out.
She did not expect...
Sylvia, get us started.
The last thing she expected to see.
Oh, Sylvia, you are muted.
No,
I can't hear you. Okay, cool.
Okay. Was Santa's sleigh in the sky because it wasn't Christmas yet. And at the head, she expected to see Rudolph with his bright red nose. But as he grew closer to her roof, she realized it was Rudolph the robot reindeer.
Excellent. Patricia.
Instead of the usual thud and tap, tap, tap of their hooves on the roof, there was a metallic twang that rang across her steel frame roof.
Excellent.
It was very disconcerting and echoed through the woods that surrounded her house.
Love that. Kelly, you are next.
She watched in horror as she realized that, unfortunately for whoever this imposter Santa was, none of the robot reindeer had gripping pads on the bottom of their hooves. So when they landed on her corrugated steel rooftop, they slowly started sliding down the roof, heading for sure disaster toward the snowbank at the bottom. Even though it was early and not Christmas yet, they just had 2 feet of snow, and she had no idea how these robot reindeer were going to fare once doused in the cold wetness.
Oh, goodness. What's going to happen? Elisa.
We should give her time to catch up.
Okay, perfect. That means, Elisa, you get an extra minute to think. Love that for you.
But they'd still had a few feet of snow, and she wasn't sure how the metallic reindeer would fare in the cold wetness. Sorry. I'll speak slower next time.
I know. We kept thinking, it's going to take them time. They're not going to get it right at once. But then you guys, you're just
I'm caffeinated.
Perfect.
Sure enough, with a crash and a bang, the reindeers all slid backwards into the snow. sending up sparks and Christmas themed jingles playing in pieces as they landed in a heap on the snow. She ran towards the wreckage, looking to see if there was any human form inside the sleigh. And sure enough, inside the sleigh she saw.
Ooh.
Dun, dun, dun.
Dun, dun, dun.
Dun, dun, dun.
All right, Barbara, what did she see?
She saw a tiny little woman dressed all in rainbow colors. The little woman stared up at her and said, "You have absolutely ruined my inventions, not to mention my fingernails, which are a mess now because we fell off your damned corrugated roof. Now, I want to come inside, have a cup of tea, and let's discuss how to fix this."
All right, audience, this is your turn. What is going to happen next? And yes, Karen, that does mean that you have a few minutes to type in. All right, audience, come on. I need stuff in the chat. Don't make me come up with it. We all know I'm not good at this stuff. Ooh, Kelly. I like that. Yes. All right. The audience is stuck. So audience, I need a number 1 to 20. I'll let you guys have as many.
We do have something in the chat.
Oh, we do. Then we're gonna have the door creaked open to an entryway she didn't recognize. The woman drew out, the tiny little woman drew out a ray gun. And we're going to go back to Sylvia.
Just as they stepped through at ray gun point, she didn't have really a choice at this point, forced to step through this unknown doorway, a dragon appeared, demanding to know, "Who goes there?"
Wonderful. Patricia.
Needless to say, this was not the Saturday night Kathy had originally planned. She wasn't in the habit of spending her evenings with metallic reindeer, odd little women with ray guns, not to mention her living room turning into a dragon's den. Still, the week had been bad enough and the routine was dull enough that any change was an opportunity for an adventure.
Beautiful.
Besides, the dragon was beautiful.
Of course. All right, Kelly.
When I'm giving her a chance to catch up.
Ooh, we are getting some good audience suggestions. So our authors, make sure you're keeping an eye on that. The dragon was beautiful.
As the little old woman stepped through the door after her, she called out to the dragon, "Donella, stop scaring the guests." And the dragon responded back in a snarky tone, "I'm not the one pointing a ray gun at her, am I?" The old woman acknowledged, "Well, you may be right, but she did just ruin my reindeer with her poor construction choices. So I'm a little peeved." The dragon ignored the little old woman and turned to Kathy and said in a very sweet tone of voice, considering her voice sounded like gravel mixed with, a bass drum. Would you like a spot of tea? Maybe some cider. I can put the kettle on.
Perfect. All right, Elisa, we're going to give her a second to get caught up, and then you are going to take it from there.
Okay.
Great job, Karen.
So Kathy, caught between the dragon and the old woman, froze for a bit before turning to the woman and saying, "First off, I didn't build my house. I bought it. And it's your fault for landing on my house in the middle of the night. What are you even doing in Santa's sleigh? It's November." And the woman rolled her eyes and said, "November, schmovember, I'm trying to save Christmas." So Kathy, a little bit confused, said, "Save Christmas from what?" The woman and the dragon exchanged a glance. And the dragon said, "I think you should tell her." She said, "I don't need to tell her anything. I can handle this. I'm the tooth fairy after all. I know what I'm doing."
Perfect. All right, Barbara,
Kathy,
we're going to give her a second to get caught up, and then
Good.
you are going to tell us more about this tooth fairy business that suddenly is happening. Okay. Are you going to tell her? Did we miss something, Elisa, there between?
It's November.
November, Shmovember.
Yeah, but it's not a big deal.
Shmovember.
Don't worry about it.
All
I'm
right.
the tooth fairy. I know what I'm doing is the last
Right.
thing.
She knows what she's doing. That's the important thing. All right. And then Barbara is going to give us the next bit. And audience, keep thinking because I'm coming to you next.
The dragon looked irritably at the old woman and said, "Tell her about how the internet is ruining fantasy. Period. All the kids, comma, even the 3-year-olds, at least the smart ones, are going online and finding out, or think they're finding out, that there is no such thing as dragons and magical little old ladies and things like that, period. But we're stuck with the internet and we're not abandoning magic. So we've got to figure out what to do. And we thought, Kathy, since you are an artistic person and have a wonderful imagination, that maybe you could help us. Would you help us?
Ooh, okay. All right, audience, it's your turn. Kathy has been invited to help because she is an artistic person with a wonderful imagination. Okay, let's see what's going to happen. I just scrolled back up and saw the marshmallows. Oh man, that makes me hungry.
Dragons
Kathy,
should toast marshmallows.
Dragons should always toast.
Like one on every claw, just right?
Beautiful.
Yeah.
All right. Kathy knew in her heart that she was the graphic designer they'd been looking for. She looked at the dragon and said, So you're part of this because you're such a good hacker? I understand that the little old lady is the tooth fairy and you're bringing the technology angle. That makes sense. The little old lady snapped her fingers to make magic sparks fly out of them so that Kathy would be suitably impressed and agree to take on this role. And then we're going to let Karen type that up. And authors, this is going to be our final round for this story, because I'd love for us to do a couple different ones. So everybody start putting your end of the book pants on. Get that conclusion hat on your head. And yes, that was how we ended that, Karen. So, final round. Sylvia, you're going to get us started.
Well, first, Kathy said, well, I need to go back to my kitchen. I think better when I'm baking. And I think we can all save some Christmas magic, but when I whip up some toasted marshmallow cookies.
Perfect. And then Patricia. Some toasted marshmallow cookies.
The tooth fairy was skeptical, but Kathy knew that part of the magic had vanished when the kitchen became a place for dishes instead of cooking, with delivery of anything you wanted at your fingertips. They had lost that spark of creativity that always came when they opened an old recipe book or shared stories of baking disasters past.
Excellent. All right, we're going to let Karen get caught up. And then I love your conclusion hat. Thank you so much for getting into the spirit of things. It's beautiful. All right, baking disasters past. Kelly.
The tooth fairy was definitely going to argue against such a feat, thinking that perhaps Kathy just wanted to escape back to her own realm again. But the dragon argued in her defense. You know what? I think it is a good idea, the dragon said, Donella. And I'm feeling a little peckish. If she has the marshmallows, I'm sure I can help with the toasting. Kathy looked at the massive dragon and said, I'm not sure if you'll fit in my kitchen. And the dragon said, you know what? It's no problem. Waved a taloned claw in the air and shrunk down to the size of a Great Dane, looking very dignified, held up one taloned hand and said, your marshmallows will fit perfectly right here. Let's get toasting.
Excellent. So we now have a Great Dane sized dragon, which adorable. I would love a shrinking dragon if I can. We are going to let Karen get a little caught up, and then we're going to run over to Elisa. Her talons are now perfectly sized for marshmallows. And she said, let's get going.
Let's get toasting.
Toasting.
Nice.
Toasting. All right.
Now I want marshmallows.
I know, right? Thanks, guys.
In her kitchen, Kathy placed a single marshmallow on each of the Dragon Dane's talons. And the dragon roasted them to a perfect light brown, just slightly melted exterior. With that, Kathy made s'mores and hot cocoa, and they sat around together in her living room. In the dim light from the falling snow outside, or reflecting off the falling snow outside.
Oh, wait.
Hang on, wait.
That's a good signal because I'm watching and I'm like, oh, she wants us to wait.
Okay, roasted them to a perfect light brown color, and then they had s'mores.
S'mores and cocoa, and
are they sitting around the fire, or did I make that up?
no, they're just sitting in the living room with s'mores
the
and
living
hot
room with
cocoa,
s'mores and hot cocoa,
bathed in the light from the reflecting off the snow outside.
I love that our robot reindeer has now led us to this beautiful
As they settled in, Kathy asked, okay, what's the problem? The tooth fairy explained, Santa's very sick because the kids don't believe in him and they have the internet. And we don't know how we'll make all the deliveries in time. Kathy took a bite of the s'more, thinking very hard. There had to be some way she could use her graphic design talents to make the children believe in Christmas and Santa again, and to stop browsing for their presents online.
Perfect. All right, we are going to let Karen get caught up, and then we're going to have Barbara give her piece, and then we are going to end with the audience. So audience, Kelly has her conclusion hat on. Sylvia just has her Santa hat on. Put your conclusion hats on. Put your conclusion pants on. Barbara, what's next?
Kathy thought for a moment, and then it struck her that it wasn't just Christmas and the children who celebrated Christmas who needed their fantasies restored, but all the children all over the world, no matter what holidays they celebrated. So she said, I will create a wonderful, beautiful set of art and cards that we can send to all the children all over the world. And you, and she stared very hard at the little old lady, will put magic in them so that the children's sense of fantasy and wonder will be restored. What do you think of that? The dragon looked from Kathy to the little old lady and announced,
Wait,
Oh, hang on. Put magic in them.
So that their faith will be restored.
yes, faith in magic will be restored.
woo.
No chain mail. No chain mail.
What do you think of that? The dragon stared at Kathy and then at the little old lady and announced,
Right. The dragon stared at Kathy and the little old lady and announced, what's the dragon's name? We haven't used the dragon's name for a while.
Donella? What is that what I
Okay.
said? I don't
Yes.
remember.
Oh, thank you. I love that our audience is with it more than I am. Okay. So, my dear audience, I've written all of these great plot twists. So I would really love, audience, if we could pick a number 1 through 20, and our plot twist is going to be our conclusion, because I'm not doing chainmail. Okay, I see 20. And
Uh-oh.
I am not joking. I had no idea what was going to happen. So the dragon stared at Kathy and the little old lady and announced plot twist number 20. Wait, Santa is real?
Dun, dun, dun.
And that is going to conclude story number 1. Everyone give yourself a big round of applause.
Job, audience.
We are just a little bit over halfway through. So when we start our second round, authors, we're going to do a little bit more of a speed round this round. So shorter little statements, tighten it up so we can do a couple more rounds, because I think it's just going to ramp the craziness. No, speed in terms of how much words they say, not in terms of how
Karen.
fast we're going to ask poor Karen to write. Oh, there's a dictate option. Just click that.
It's true.
All right. So I'm going to go back to my magic, not a candle. And audience members, you guys get to stay at the end, but authors, we are going to be going in a different order. So our next story will begin. Ooh, this one's short. It's Lil. Appropriate. New story. First line. The kitchen was full of pots and pans. So helpful for you. All right, Kelly, you are going to get us started with this round. Remember, we're going to do shorter phrases, a little bit less, so we can go a little bit faster.
Janet looked at the mess and sighed. Today was not the day for housework. Today was a day for reading.
Excellent. Today was a day for reading. Sylvia.
She got cuddled up by the fire with her favorite book. She'd already gotten halfway through by her favorite author when she heard a clang in the kitchen.
Ooh.
She was the only one at home.
She was the only one at home. All right, while Kelly gets caught up, I'm crossing off number 20 from our plot twist line. She was the only one home. What happened next, Barbara?
She jumped up and ran into the kitchen and looked astounded as 5 white mice were in her kitchen, quickly cooking up a stew.
Ooh, delicious.
Sounds like a health code violation.
Shush, it's not your turn. It's Patricia's turn. If she wants it to be a health code, she can make it a health code. Patricia, that means it's your
Janet
turn.
knew the house was a mess, but hadn't realized it had reached the point of having mice in her kitchen. Still, this group looked clean, and they seemed to be washing up after themselves as they chopped and diced and assembled whatever was cooking on the stove.
Excellent. As they chopped and diced and assembled what was cooking on the stove. And Elisa.
Still, outside of a novel, it's weird to find mice in your kitchen cooking. So after a moment to take this whole scene in, Janet raised her voice and said, "What are you doing?" The mice jumped in surprise, turning towards her with wide eyes.
Excellent. All right. So the mice turn to her with wide eyes. And audience, what do the mice do? What does Janet do? Or give me a number. We could do a weird plot twist here. Up to you.
Uh-oh. 17.
Okay. I saw 17, and I am trying to make this a little bit more speedy. So 17. The mice jumped to her and turned to her with wide eyes. "Cut!" yelled the director. There you are. We're going to go back to Kelly. You just basically get to start a new story.
And Janet said, "Oh, wait a minute. What is happening here?" And the one little mouse, who actually had a custom set of tiny little chef's knives, said, "We're filming the next Disney movie. What do you think is happening here?"
Beautiful. All right. She's got a custom set of tiny knives.
Chef's knives.
Chef's knife. Wow. Said we're filming the next Disney
What do you
movie.
think is happening? We're filming the next Disney movie.
All right. They are filming the next Disney movie. Sylvia.
I'm going to play my plot twist card.
All right. Sylvia is using her plot twist card. She is foregoing her turn to get a number 1 through 19 without number 7. Or without number 17. But I did see number 7. That was the first one I saw.
Oh, no.
3. Karen. 3, 2, 1. Then it happened. All right. That means, Barbara, it's on to you, girl.
Cinderella wept into the room from behind the camera and said, "What did you think we were going to do with all those out of work magical little mice from my last film? And especially after they unionized." Kathy sighed.
Janet.
Janet sighed. I love that Karen is keeping our characters straight. Excellent. So Janet sighed. Patricia.
I'm happy that they unionized. Because the last movie sucked and they deserve an opportunity to get out of the typecasting.
Excellent. They have deserved an opportunity. I'm cutting you off there, girl. All right. So they had deserved to get an opportunity to get out of the typecasting. Elisa.
Janet went on, "But why my kitchen?" Cinderella sighed and said, "Well, we need an authentically dirty kitchen. So if you didn't keep your kitchen in such a mess, we wouldn't be here."
Oh, beautiful. All right. Wow. Karen gets us caught up. Audience, what are we doing next?
Authentically dirty.
Authentically. We got shade getting thrown from Janet, shade from Cinderella. I see a request for a plot twist. All right. We're going to do a plot twist here. We're going to do one more round because I think that's going to bring us right about to the end of the time that we've got. So I see a request for a plot twist. Sorry, I got
Number 8.
distracted. I see number 8. Suddenly, she heard the phone ring. It's not a bad plot twist. Advances. At least we're not like in the woods or something. All right. So suddenly the phone rang. Kelly. Final round.
Unsure what else to do, Janet answered the phone and listened to the voice on the other end. "Yeah. Uh-huh. Uh-huh. She's right here." Then, end quote, then she held the phone out to Cinderella. It's some lawyers. They said that you're breaching copyright. A rodent cooking movie has already been done.
Love that. All right, rodent cooking movie has already been done. I've lost my schedule. Who are we doing next? Sylvia is next.
The director stepped forward from behind the camera. All right, let's get back on track. This wasn't supposed to be a rodent cooking movie. This was supposed to be what was it supposed to be?
All right, what is it supposed to be? Barbara.
A romance between the first white mouse and the second white mouse. The cooking was just for when they fell in love. Period.
Love
Cinderella
that.
nodded and said, "Let's get going with the love scene." Period.
Excellent. Beautiful. So let's get going with the love scene.
It's just
Patricia.
The mice looked at each other and looked at Cinderella. Pause for a second. Isn't there an okay? I don't know if we have clearance from the intimacy coach yet. Period. Is this a standard G rating for Disney? Or are we going for a PG-13?
All right. Beautiful.
The comments are cracking me up. I'm sorry. Into Mousy Coach.
Yes.
Audience.
The comments would love it if this
Rodent Mance.
Rodent Mance and an inter-mousy coach.
Oh,
That's up to you, Karen. But while she decides that, Elisa, give us your last bit.
Cinderella rolled her eyes. Any more demands, Mouserella? Mouserella, with her hands on her hips, said, "I am not doing this scene without the intimacy coach." Cinderella said, "Fine, we'll just do the final battle then."
Right. Perfect. And then, audience, bring it home for us. All right. I see 14. I also saw 8. Or no, we used 8. Yes, because that was suddenly the phone rang. Ooh, okay. Okay. Never mind. I was going to pick an audience, but that would be cheating because it was Kelly making a suggestion.
I don't want mine taken seriously.
Why aren't their mice diverse? Karen wants to know.
It's Disney.
Yeah.
That's fair.
Old Disney.
All right. So I saw number 14, but I don't love number 14 for the last one. I saw 8, but we used it. We haven't done
Hollis
11.
had a good comment.
Ooh, Hollis. Yes. Perfect. All right. Excellent. We're gonna combine a plot twist and Hollis. So where are you all going? The director shouted. We've got to move to the battlefield set, which, as you will recall, is her authentically dirty laundry room. But just then, there was a ripping noise, and she looked over to see that a hole had opened in the space-time continuum. Dun, dun,
Done.
dun.
Could have ended it with the mice on Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy.
All right, and then
True.
we're gonna put the end question mark because that is just the best way to end it. So we are just about out of time. I would love to give a big clap to both our beautiful panelists of improvers, and even bigger clap to our beautiful Karen who typed everything up. And the biggest clap of all to you guys, our audience. I'm so thankful
amazing audience.
that you
The
guys
audience
came
were on
out
fire.
and
Yes.
gave us such great suggestions.